Rain hammers a metal roof in the Smoky Mountains. Water floods a gutter into a white 5-gallon bucket bolted to a workshop wall. Inside that bucket, a small turbine spins. LED lights flicker on across the porch. No solar panel, no grid connection, just gravity and rain. By the end of this video, you will discover how one man in Tennessee runs this system even on days it has not rained. I drove to the foothills of eastern Tennessee to see this with my own eyes, not because I doubted the physics. The physics is simple. I went because I needed to see who was actually doing it. The property sits about 40 minutes outside Knoxville on a gravel road that dead ends at a tree line, metal roof, rain barrels along the south wall, a chicken coop wired with LED strip lights, and behind the workshop a 5-gallon bucket with a PVC pipe running into it from the gutter downspout. The man who built it is a retired electrician, worked 30 years pulling wire through commercial buildings before he moved out here. He does not have a YouTube channel. He does not sell a course. He looked at the water pouring off his roof during a spring thunderstorm and asked himself the obvious question, where is all that energy going? I watched him flip a breaker during a steady afternoon rain. The multimeter read 14 watts on the direct current output side. That was from a 1,500 square foot metal roof during heavy rainfall. 14 watts flowing into a small sealed lead-acid battery sitting on a plywood shelf. Enough to keep a USB charging station and a string of LED lights running the entire time it rained. Not enough to power a house. He never claimed it would, but enough to keep the lights on in his shop and a weather radio charged without pulling a single watt from the grid. His neighbor 2 properties over runs a similar setup on her chicken coop. She added something he had not thought of: a 55-gallon drum mounted on a raised platform behind the coop. When it rains, the gutter fills the drum. A small valve at the bottom releases water slowly through her turbine housing long after the storm passes. One full drum gives her 4 to 6 hours of continuous low wattage generation after the rain stops. That detail is the one I have been saving. I will come back to it. Several families in this stretch of the foothills run versions of this same rig. None of them learned it from a video or a kit. They figured it out from plumbing knowledge and common sense. They looked at the water going down the pipe and asked the obvious question. The obvious question turns out to be thousands of years old. Outside the city of Arles, in southern France, the Romans built the Barbegal aqueduct mill complex in the 2nd century. 16 overshot water wheels cascading down a hillside powered entirely by aqueduct runoff. No electricity, no fuel, just water falling downhill through engineered channels. Enough power to grind grain for an entire regional population. Historian Robert Sellon of the University of Bristol documented the mechanics of this system. 800 years later, Cistercian monasteries at the Abbey of Fontenay in Burgundy diverted streams to power water forges and mechanical hammers. The principle never changed. Falling water plus a wheel equals captured mechanical power. The physics behind all of these systems fits into one equation. Power equals water density times gravitational acceleration times flow rate times the height the water falls times the efficiency of the turbine. For a residential gutter system, the numbers work like this. A 1,500 square foot roof during heavy rain collects roughly 15.5 gallons per minute. A single-story gutter drop of about 10 feet gives you roughly 3 meters of head. Run those numbers through the equation with a 60% turbine efficiency and you get approximately 10 to 17 watts of continuous power. Now let me be direct with you, because I respect your intelligence. 17 watts will not run your air conditioning, it will not replace your solar panels, it will not power your refrigerator, but it will do something your solar panels cannot. It works at night, it works during storms, it works when the grid goes down and the sun is not shining and your phone is dead and you need a charged battery and a working light. That is not nothing. For the families I visited in Tennessee, that is the difference between sitting in the dark during a power outage and having light and communication when they need it most. And here is where the modern research confirms what those Tennessee families already knew. Dr. Arthur Williams at Nottingham Trent University has spent years studying what engineers call pico-hydro systems. These are power systems generating under 5 kilowatts. His research teams measured installations in rural Nepal producing usable electricity from flows as small as 2 liters per second with head drops under 5 meters. Those parameters are almost identical to what a residential gutter system produces during a heavy rainstorm. Williams proved that even very low flow and very low head installations deliver meaningful output when paired with battery storage. The physics does not care whether the water comes from a Himalayan stream or a suburban downspout. Gravity works the same everywhere. So why has every residential energy guide in America ignored this simple power source falling off your roof? Open the International Residential Code at Section R324, which covers solar energy, and Section R325, which covers energy storage. Now look for the section on micro-hydro. There is no compliance pathway for integrating micro-hydro of any kind into a residential structure. The Federal Power Act provides exemptions for small hydro projects under Section 30. A gutter turbine producing 15 watts sits far below any regulatory threshold. No federal agency has jurisdiction, yet no state building code provides a pathway for a building inspector to approve one. Inspectors cannot sign off on what their training never covered. An entire category of proven physics simply does not appear in the professional knowledge base of American builders. Follow the money. The United States Energy Information Administration reported residential electricity revenue of approximately $240 billion in 2023. The average household pays roughly $140 per month. The electrical industry depends on complexity. It depends on proprietary equipment. It depends on certified installers and recurring costs. A gutter turbine built from $60 of hardware store parts does not fit that model. There is no installer certification for a bucket and motor. There's no profit margin in a system a retired electrician can build in an afternoon. Nobody held a secret meeting to ban your gutter turbine. Nobody could figure out how to charge you for it. So nobody told you it existed. Now, if you do not own land, if you are not off-grid, if you are sitting in a suburban house or an apartment right now, stay with me. Because what comes next works in any home, costs under $60, and requires 0 permits in most jurisdictions. This part was built specifically for you. And it starts with one detail I have been holding back since the first minute of this video. Remember the woman in Tennessee with the chicken coop? The one who added a 55-gallon drum on a raised platform behind her turbine setup. That drum is the detail that changes everything about this system. Without it, you have a rain-powered generator that only works while it is actively pouring. With it, you have a gravity-fed power source that keeps producing for hours after the storm ends. Here is how it works. During a rainstorm, the gutter downspout routes water into the drum instead of directly through the turbine. The drum fills. When the rain stops, a ball valve at the bottom of the drum releases water slowly and steadily through the turbine housing at a controlled rate. One full 55-gallon drum mounted 4 feet above the turbine intake provides 4 to 6 hours of continuous low wattage generation. The flow is slower than direct rainfall, so the output drops to roughly 3 to 5 watts. But 3 to 5 watts running for 6 hours charges a 12-volt battery enough to run LED lights and a phone charger through an entire evening. 2 drums double the runtime. In eastern Tennessee, where annual rainfall averages between 47 and 55 inches depending on elevation, that means the system captures and converts water on the majority of days across the year. Not just during storms, between them. That is how you get power day and night from a gutter. not because the turbine defies physics, because a plastic drum and a slow valve let you time shift the rainfall across hours instead of wasting it all at once. Now here is exactly how to build the full system. The turbine assembly starts with a 12-volt direct current brushed motor costing $8 to $15, mounted inside a 4-inch PVC pipe and attached turbine blades cut from PVC sheet stock. Total cost $15 to $20. Connect to your downspout using a 4-inch PVC Y fitting, diverting water across the blades before returning to normal drainage. Cost roughly $10 to $15. The electrical side uses a bridge rectifier and a voltage regulator, smoothing direct current output to 12 volts. A basic charge controller prevents overcharging the battery. Total electronics cost $15 to $25. The storage drum upgrade is where this gets genuinely useful. A 55-gallon high-density polyethylene drum sits on a raised platform 4 feet above the turbine. A ball valve at the bottom controls the drain rate. The drum costs $20 to $30 used. The platform requires scrap lumber or cinder blocks. Total system cost with drum storage runs $60 to $90. First-time builders need 4 to 6 hours and basic tools. A PVC cutter, drill, wire strippers, soldering iron or wire nuts, adjustable wrench, and level. Now I want to be honest with you about what this system will and will not do, because I am not in the business of overclaiming. During heavy rain on a 1,500 square foot roof, expect 10 to 17 watts continuous. With a single drum gravity feed after the rain stops, expect 3 to 5 watts continuous for 4 to 6 hours. Over a full year, in a region receiving 40 to 50 inches of annual rainfall, the total energy output is modest. You are looking at enough to keep small batteries topped off, LED lights running, phones charged, and emergency communication equipment powered. You are not looking at whole house energy independence. What this is a $60 insurance policy against dark nights during power outages. It is a system that works precisely when your solar panels do not. It is physics that your great-grandparents would have understood instinctively and that somehow vanished from every building manual published in the last 50 years. A few things will kill this system if you ignore them. Low-pitch roofs produce less flow velocity. Regions with fewer than 25 inches of annual rainfall will see diminished returns and longer gaps between usable generation windows. Leaf debris will clog the turbine if you do not install a mesh screen filter at the gutter input. In freezing climates, you must drain the storage drum before winter and winterize the turbine housing, or the ice will crack your PVC fittings. These are not deal breakers. They are maintenance realities that any honest builder would tell you up front. The knowledge survived because physics does not care about building codes or energy industry revenue models, or the fact that nobody figured out how to monetize a bucket. Gravity has been pulling water downhill since before humans existed. The Greeks turned it into mechanical power 2,300 years ago. The Romans scaled it across an empire. The monks at Fontenay forged iron with it 8 centuries ago, and a retired electrician in the Tennessee foothills charges his phone with it every time it rains. The water is already falling off your roof. Right now, as you watch this, it is running down your gutters through your downspout and into the ground. Every drop of it carries energy. Every drop of it is free. The only question is whether you are going to keep letting it drain into the dirt, or whether you are going to put a $60 wheel in its path and start collecting what was always yours.